Molly Cabral from Common Sense Inc. You can find us at www.cslawinfo.us. It's www.cslawinfo.us. This is information package number 8. Are you a citizen? 4 types of citizenship. A lot of people, including myself at one time, are under the impression that it was a good thing to be a citizen. In reality, it's not. And I go into the 4 different kinds of citizenships that is in the United States and which one is best for you. But for right now, I'm going to read to you an excerpt from the information package called 14th Amendment, and it goes into why being a citizen is not beneficial to you and I. It was adopted on July 9th, 1868, as one of the Reconstruction Amendments. The amendment addresses citizenship rights and equal protection of the laws, and was proposed in response to issues related to former slaves following the American Civil War. As most of us already know, it was the great white hope for African people who were tired and fed up of an oppressive system. What they didn't know was that this was just another trick to deceive them into believing they were finally equal in the eyes of the Constitution. In this discussion, I will be touching on 2 out of the 4 sections of this particular amendment. Let us start with section 1. It says, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the laws. Initially, this may sound like an excellent solution for an overdue problem, the deliberate subjugation of one race of people. But let's now dissect this a little bit to see what is really being said. Remember to always read in between the lines when it comes to politics. The first line of the section 1 says that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction are citizens. That's all it takes for one to become a part of the great tax revenue of the states. People born after this date in 1868 were automatically subjects and therefore obligated to uphold whatever was dictated to them by the government. What is a subject? According to the Etymology Online Dictionary, it means person under control or dominion of another. Let me read that again. A subject means a person under control or dominion of another. This would make a citizen in reality be a slave, because these people who were oppressed for hundreds of years were under the dominion of the slave master. And they were being controlled spiritually, mentally, and physically. The same can be said today for many as well. So now we know that being a citizen or subject makes you a slave or under the dominion of the United States. The next sentence, to sum it up quickly, talks about the states not being able to take away our privileges without due process of the law. Notice the word privileges. They did not mention anything about your rights. This is very important to note because a privilege is a lot different than our natural rights. I go more into depth in this on a previous information package. What is a privilege? According to Black's Law Dictionary, Free Online Legal Dictionary, 2nd edition, it means, quote, a particular and peculiar benefit or advantage enjoyed by a person, company, or class beyond the common advantage of other citizens, end quote. We can clearly see again the term right is not present. So does this mean that having privileges is not constitutionally backed by law? In fact, it does, because originally it was understood that each person had an inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, if you were European, of course. However, this was in a time where the masses of the population were not allowed to be educated about who we are as beings on planet Earth. There is a saying, quote, one who does not know thyself does not know their power within, end quote. To summarize Section 1, citizens of the U.S. are slaves who have privileges and not inalienable rights. Remember that privileges are given and can be taken away. For example, a driver's license is a privilege. No wonder most do not fight, but go along with the program because we have bought into the concept of being a good subject to the state. In Section 4 of the 14th Amendment, it says, quote, "The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services and suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. But neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or any claim for the loss or emancipation of any slave. But all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void." End quote. After reading this, I hope your eyes are wide open like a deer in the headlights of an oncoming truck. Now pick up your jaw up off the floor because we are going to go through this quickly. The first sentence is what I like to call more debt talk, meaning the government is saying it is not responsible financially for suppressing rebellion in the United States. At the time, there were numerous slave revolts that put an economic strain on the nation as a whole, and Congress was not going to fit the bill every time some Southern plantation owner wanted to be compensated for damage done by Africans who waged war on their own property. However, the second sentence is what really catches our eyes because it brings home the mentality of this country even up until present day. Notice how it says, "or any claim for the loss or emancipation of a slave." Let me read that again. "Or any claim for the loss or emancipation of a slave." Again, at the time, the liberation of an oppressed class was still frowned upon because Africans were a financially free and loyal labor force, very similar to today. The South was very reluctant to go along with the rest of the nation in declaring that the past was over, and the present claimed that slaves were now citizens. Even though I vehemently disagree with putting people into bondage for personal gain, I do see the perspective of the common plantation owner of that day. What this amendment was basically doing was allowing the government to come in and take money out of their pockets, and they were supposed to accept this with no questions. Obviously, thanks to historians, we now know this led to a bloody and deadly civil war. But the slaves at the time did not realize that just because they were citizens now and supposedly equal to the white man, that this did not free them from being subjects to the state, which, with no education and no knowledge of the corrupt legal system, being solidified into power, the Africans jumped out of the frying pan just to be baked inside the oven of another oppressive system. And this does not just affect them. It now has encompassed all who are born or naturalized within the country today. Just like Section 1 says, as soon as your unsuspecting parents sign over the government contract, which is a birth certificate, we become subjects to the jurisdiction of the states. Research the Buck Act of 1940. So I just want to let you know that the 14th Amendment actually did more damage to every person that now resides in the United States, not just African people, because it essentially made us in debt, indoctrinated, and enslaved to a debt system that is now currently trillions of dollars and doesn't ever look like it will recover. So I just want to let you know that's why you probably hear people today as expats or expatriates or people that are buying up, lots of real estate outside the country. Excuse me. It's because of this 14th Amendment. If you truly believe a country that was founded for the purpose of big business and enslaving people to get higher profits, and you think anything's changed from a few hundred years ago till now, you are deeply mistaken. And I suggest that you get this information package. Are you a citizen? 4 types of citizenship. and you read it, you reread it, and then you reread it again. Thank you.